right, in this video, we're going to talk about science and context. How is science and society related? How does science work with other scientists, and so on. So we're going to describe how attitudes and experience generate new ideas, why peer review is important, and the relationship between science and society. Also list some common practices that are found in both science and engineering. So the process of science, and you can see this graphic here, science is all about testing ideas. And when you test those ideas, it's the result of exploration and discovery. There may be some community analysis and feedback about whether we should or shouldn't do something, how we should do or not do something, not just from the community at large, but the scientific community as well, peer review, things like that. And what are some of the benefits and outcomes of science or the testing of ideas? So in order for scientists to be successful, they have to have certain attitudes. They have to have some curiosity. They have to look at the natural world and wonder why. They have to have some skepticism. You can't just accept what somebody says. You have to be willing to look at it critically and maybe test their ideas. You have to be creative. In order to design the experiment, it's a creative process. And you have to have some open-mindedness. Sometimes the results of experiments don't necessarily fit with our current ideas. We have to be willing to change those ideas if that's what the data is telling us. So let's look at that first part of that graphic: exploration and discovery, making observation, asking questions. How does that lead to data? How does that lead to sharing data and ideas amongst the scientific community? How does that lead to inspiring scientists to maybe look at things in new ways, or exploring literature to make sure and to have other people look at this question, and so on. So curiosity, skepticism, open-mindedness, creativity help scientists and engineers ask new questions and define new problems. Community analysis and feedback. Again, peer review, other scientists repeating your experiment and getting similar results, or maybe not getting similar results, and looking at why. Publishing your ideas to share them with the scientific community, discussing what's going on in your research with colleagues, with other scientists, which can lead to coming up with new ideas, new questions, and eventually lead to the development or modification of theories. So publishing articles in peer-reviewed scientific journal allows researchers to share ideas. It also allows other scientists to evaluate and test the data and analysis that you got from your experiment. Then the third part of that graphic: benefits and outcomes. How does science benefit society as a whole? What are some of the outcomes? Sometimes science produces things that maybe aren't beneficial. So what are the outcomes, good and bad? Developing new technologies to solve problems, building knowledge that can be used to develop theories and to maybe develop these technologies, addressing societal issues, just satisfying curiosity, and informing policy about, when our representatives with our government develops policies, or maybe when the scientific community develops policies to regulate themselves. Applying scientific information involves understanding the role of science in contact with society and its limitations. What are those questions that can and can't be addressed by science? Science and engineering practices. So these are things that scientists and engineers do. They ask questions and they define problems. They develop and use models. They plan and carry out investigations. They analyze and interpret data. They use math and computational thinking. They construct explanations and design solutions to problems. They engage in argument from evidence. They talk amongst each other to support their ideas, or maybe to look at others' ideas. Obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information are key. If you don't share that information, you're not able to evaluate others' information, you're not able to communicate, then that information is not very useful to society as a whole.